Hi everybody, it's Tara here.
And it's Cody.
And we are not in the office today for our Facebook Live. We are out in the field as requested. And what do we have here? We have a giveaway.
We do have a giveaway in here today.
Let me switch the camera so people can see you. What are we giving away today?
Today we have a salad sack. So this is for keeping all of your greens moist and they keep longer in the fridge.
Okay.
We have a little vegetable brush. We have an herb stripper.
Okay.
And we have these netted produce bags.
Awesome.
Yeah. We
so
were thinking that, it's harvest season for a lot of things. So we thought we'd throw together a little gift bag of, harvest items to help out someone. So
yeah, and just some housekeeping notes. We are out in the field. There's an airport right over there, so you might hear some loud noise. We're not on Wi-Fi. We're just kind of broadcasting from my cell phone, so it might be cutting in and out a little bit. Let us know if you can't hear us. We've got wireless mics. And yeah, let us know what you want to see. And we'll kind of walk around and answer some questions and point some things out.
yeah, so we have a little bit of everything out here. So this is our vegetable trials. So we have everything out here except potatoes. So, if you have some problems with corn, pumpkin, squash, tomatoes, peppers, whatever, we'll head over to wherever that crop is. We'll kind of show you what we're looking for in the crop, and then we can kind of, understand what's happening.
Okay, so where are you right now in the field?
Right now I'm standing in our pumpkin patch. So we have about 12, 11 rows here of pumpkins. Our pumpkins this year are really, really early. And we're guessing it's because of all the dry, hot weather. We've actually already been harvesting some winter squash already as well. So we're fully prepared for, pumpkins to be a few weeks early this year.
Now, the pumpkins look awesome, but what happened? What happened here?
Yep, so this was probably some transplant shock when we transplant them out. So, with how dry it was, putting them in this hard soil that was very, very warm, just sucked all the moisture out of the root ball, and then the plants, die. And now, obviously, some do better than others, but, sometimes that's up to variety, sometimes that's up to species. There's a couple factors that go into it.
Sonia's watching. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Sonia.
So yeah, most of our pumpkins were very successful. And every now and then there is a little bit of a miss.
There is.
Where are the pumpkins? Can you show me some on the plant?
Sure. So we can go down here. My favorite pumpkin, half pint, which we always grow a row of every year because it does super, super well and they make great decorations. But these are half pints. So half pint is a compact plant, so it doesn't vine. And you're looking to get about 6 to 8 fruit on each plant. And you can see we already have about 4 on this plant here.
Now, this is basically ready to harvest.
This is basically ready to harvest. It can get a little bit bigger, and we're looking for the stem to start turning a little bit light brown before we pick it as well, or when the plant starts to die.
All right, and we use these as a pumpkin decorating contest, and then we also donate them to where?
The MFRC, which is the Military Royal Family Cooperation, I believe.
Military Family Resource?
Yes. Anyway, it's kind of like an organization for military families. They help each other, with family members who are in the military. We always make sure we donate some to them every year.
Yeah, and everyone just joining, we are doing a giveaway. We've got some stuff that is perfect for using your harvest that we'll give away later in the live. Let us know what you want to see. Let us know if you have any questions. I love looking and seeing the pumpkins.
So this variety right here. So this is Captain Jack. This is one of ours, but you can tell, maybe I'll hold it up. This is one of the vines. So this vine is about 8 feet, something like that. Whereas, the half pint, there's no vines. They're just staying right where they are.
I would think it'd be even more because there's the tag and that's more than 8 feet.
Yeah, so you could say even 10 feet, 12 feet.
Yeah. So
and between our rows, we have them spaced 7 feet. So here's a flag here, and then there should be a flag right in here. So from here to where that flag is 7 feet, and that's how much the pumpkins have filled in since we planted them.
Yeah, and pretty soon we won't be able to walk down them at all.
No, we won't be. And we were just talking earlier about, some pumpkins do better than others. So this is a trial variety we're growing, but this is a Hollis variety, so it's one of the ones you harvest the seeds for. And the Hollis varieties always seem to do poor with germination because they don't have that extra layer of protection on the outside. So they tend to dry out faster during germination. They tend to rot more if there's more moisture. So, if you have Hollis varieties and they're not doing well, that's probably what you're seeing.
Beautiful pumpkins. All right, what's next after the pumpkins?
Next, we'll move up into cucumbers. Well, we can talk a little bit about our cover crop we have in as well.
Yeah.
So we have a little section. So right where I'm standing until the third flag down, this is all cover crop with beans and peas in here. So we had a little extra land left over, that was supposed to be for plants, but the plants never did well, so they never made to the field. But we never want to leave our soil bare. That's really, really bad for soil. It's going to leach nutrients. You're going to leach all your organic matter. You want to make sure you have something there that'll hold everything in place. We always have lots of extra beans laying around, so we decided to put some beans in. They're fast growing. They produce their own nitrogen, so they're putting nitrogen back into the soil. And also, if we're lucky, we might get another bean crop that we can eat as well.
Yeah, eating the cover crop is probably one of my favorite things, especially when there's peas. And what do we have here? Delicious.
We move down into our cucumbers. So we've already been full on harvesting cucumbers.
Look at them.
If I had to make a really, really rough estimation, we've probably done about anywhere up to like 75 pounds of cucumbers probably now, if not more.
And you can tell that they're still not ready to.
And they're still not fully done. Like we've been reiterating over the weeks, is that it's been really, really dry here. So I'm not surprised that, we have fruit like this here where it's so small and it's not growing and it's just waiting for some moisture in the soil so it can start growing.
All right. And what's happening here?
Right here. So this was more than likely when I was doing some rototilling, I probably just ran over with a tractor, which happens, with vining crops, but the plants don't die. They just might drop that vine or let it die back to here and they'll continue growing from elsewhere.
Okay, what about these leaves?
So this here, very, very crispy. This is more than likely very, very early cucumber beetle damage. And actually, here's another one too.
Very crispy.
Yeah, so the leaves get damaged. The cucumber beetles bite the leaves, eat them, chew them. And then this is basically just scar tissue. The leaves were too damaged, so you can tell it was already wilting before I pulled it off. The plants just kind of dropped them because it no longer needs them. And that's just what's happening there. But we have lots of new growth here. There's no damage on the new growth, so there's no reason to concern that the cucumber beetles are still going to be a problem.
And still producing cucumbers.
Still have cucumbers.
And what about this one?
So this is probably like an anthracnose or an angular leaf spot. It's just a common fungus that happens with a lot of cucurbits, which would be like the pumpkin cucumber family. This will happen in a lot of fields, and it's a common thing. It's not happening through our whole field, so it's not too concerned, but that's also why we plant more than a few plants, for in case something like this does happen. We do have other plants that we can look at and evaluate.
Right, because right next to it, you've got this one,
yeah.
And it is super happy. You
Yes.
can see 1, 2, 3 cucumbers right there, and it's still producing more flowers.
So we have 3 rows of cucumbers here, and then we move into our winter squash. So we have all different squashes this year. We have a lot of butternuts this year. We have some other different kind of buttercup squashes. We're actually starting to get some color on our pinnacle spaghetti squashes. So I would say another couple of weeks and this is probably ready to harvest, which is extremely early.
I love spaghetti squash season.
Yeah. And typically these plants, in the home garden would be a lot bigger. It's been so dry, they haven't had enough moisture for them to grow really big and large.
And how can you tell when a squash is ready?
So let's find, I think there's a buttercup in here.
Yeah.
So when this guy was ready to harvest, this stem that's back here, this stem that's right here, see how it's really, really green?
Mm-hmm.
This will turn like a light brown color and become really, really woody. And that's basically when it's time that you can cut it from the plant and then you can put it somewhere to dry more and cure more for the winter for storage.
Okay, and what is this hanging off the end of it?
This is just our dead flower blossoms, so you can just pick those right off. They fall off naturally, but that's basically just the dead part of this.
All right. And so this is the male flower.
Yes, so this is our male flower. So you can see here, it comes on a long stem because they're trying to break through the plant canopy to show bees that, I have flowers, come pollinate me. Whereas right here, there is a female flower. So the flower that just fell off right here was just pollinated. So it would have looked like that. So this is actually the ovule. And now that it's pollinated, this is where the fruit's going to come from. And this is what's going to get really, really big and produce the fruit eventually.
Okay, I got a question from Jeff. He wants to know how long to cure a squash.
How long to cure a squash? Usually when the stem turns fully brown and is like kind of dried, it won't have any give to it, like a squishy kind of give. It'll be like basically like a tree trunk almost, where it's completely brown and hard.
And can you eat it right out of the field, or do you have to cure it?
No, you can eat it right out of the field, but the curing's just for winter storage, just to make sure that it's going to last as long as it can through the winter.
Right. What else do we add? Squash is my favorite. I think maybe my husband's least favorite.
There's a lot of good variation in squashes.
It's so fun to look and find the squash.
It is.
Because you can't see them. You have to look for them.
We'll come down here. Tara and I found this earlier in the week. So another pest you might sometimes deal with is a squash beetle, which typically, for like
there they are.
Squash over here, it's not a problem. But for these fuzzy leaf varieties, they absolutely love them and they will decimate them.
Yeah, and we just saw them. We've been watching for them.
Yeah. So like here's a nymph stage, here's an adult. There's lots more underneath there.
Oh, yeah.
So this is just something that we deal with.
Yeah, and they like to hide. And so what are we going to do to treat them? Uh-oh.
We're back.
Are we back? I think we got lost, guys. So I'll ask again, what are we doing to treat the squash?
So we're not doing anything right now because, we're not going to use any heavy pesticides. There's lots of flowers in here that are ready to open. Us putting any heavy products on now would harm bees, so we definitely don't want to do that.
Look, there's a cucumber beetle.
There's a cucumber beetle in there, and that's not surprising. What we can do, though, and you might want to do it at dusk because all the bees will be back in the hive. You also don't run the risk of burning your plants, is you can do like an end-all spray on the plant, and that's how you would treat them, basically, at this point.
But it isn't hurting them because you can see that they are still putting out fruit.
Yeah, so there's still a threshold for the pest, and we haven't really reached that threshold yet. We're not really seeing that damage, but maybe in like a week's time, we would look at putting like a safer soap or an end-all spray.
All right, and what do we have next to us?
Over here, this is our watermelon patch. And we did see a couple watermelons earlier this week. There's a little baby one right here. Little teeny tiny guy. It's like baseball size, a little bit smaller.
Watermelon!
And then we did have some larger ones down here.
Oh, there's some behind you.
Is there some behind me? Yeah, look at that. Right here. Look at that, two right next to each other. So now that these are formed, these are going to be forming very, very quickly. So we're probably a good 3 weeks away probably from harvesting these. But now that they're formed and we get any rain, they're just going to blow up in size. These are our netted melons here.
So what's the difference between a watermelon and a netted melon?
So the netted melons are like the cantaloupes, where they have like the netting. I know that's not a great definition, but they have like the gray webbing on the outside. And that webbing will go from like a green on the plant, and once it's mature, it'll turn to like a very, very light yellow color and brown color on the outside.
All right, and I see something nice next to us. What are these beauties?
These are our tomatoes. We have about 5 or 6 rows of tomatoes.
And a couple people over there, our trials co-workers, they are trellising them.
Yeah. Trellising is a big job. We have to do it weekly, and basically we just are putting on this tomato twine every, so often up the plants to keep them from flopping over. A lot of our cherry tomatoes will reach like easily the height of this T-bar here, if not more. So it's definitely needed for how big the plants are going to get.
Yeah, and we've already got quite a few tomatoes on here. All right, so if you prune these, I can see.
Yeah.
And how come you took all the bottom leaves off?
So we take the bottom leaves off because we get what are called suckers, which would be, the definition of a sucker would be this guy here. So this is our main stem right here, and then this guy's the sucker. So what we've done is we've taken the lower suckers off, the lower leaves off to improve the airflow. We want to put any extra energy back into any fruit that are forming higher on the plant. So these basically just snap off in your hands really, really easily. These will produce lots of flowers too and produce fruit. But we just do it because there's always worry of like late blight and late funguses that'll affect the plants like in September. So we just take them off lower while they're still small so we don't hurt the plant.
Yeah, and now that the plants are bigger since we did this, we'll come back and we'll take off anything that's touching the ground.
Yeah.
And like from a sucker right here, this leaf will always grow downwards. And this is always just going to be a leaf, so you can always snap it off.
Yeah. So you're always going to have a sucker growing between where the leaf is and where the main stem is. So that's where the sucker grows.
Delicious tomatoes. Guys, feel free to ask any questions you might have. Let us know if you want to see something. There's so many tomatoes. I don't know if they can see how many tomatoes are on there.
So these are also plants in the biomulch that we carry. It's almost like a garbage bag like consistency, but it'll break down after one season. But basically this keeps a lot of moisture and a lot of heat where the roots are, which, tomatoes, peppers, melons need. And we just can't provide that with a Canadian climate with bare soil. So this just helps grow them a little bit better in the field.
Yeah, and it helps keep all the pests and the weeds down.
Yep.
Yeah, you can see that these guys haven't been suckered as much as these guys have.
We'll come over here and look at some corn too. And for anyone who's, just joining too, we do have a little giveaway for some harvesting items. So there'll be a question at the end of the video, and the first person to comment the answer in the comment section will win that, and we'll ship it to you.
Do you have a question?
I will give a question, yes.
All right, so which corn is this?
So this, I believe, is our yellow corn, is it not?
Yes. Jeff wants to know if the biomulch composts into the soil when it breaks down.
It does. It's just made like some sort of like starch or sugar or something like that. It'll break down after one season.
Yeah, we've used it the last couple of years, and you can't even see it once it gets tilled into the soil.
Yeah.
Look at these beautiful tomatoes. I'm ready for tomato season.
So I'm in our yellow corn patch, and we have some tassels starting to form here. So we have 4 plantings of corn this year, and we've had to space them all about 2 weeks apart, 10 days apart from each other, so they weren't cross-pollinating because we're in such a limited area. And this is our yellow corn. So we did our AAS corn first, white corn, bicolor, and then our yellow corn.
Okay, and this one was a good one because you can see that it has its tassels and it has the flower on top.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain how corn pollination works?
Yep, so corn's pollinated by wind. If you can still see me in the corn patch. So up here, this is like our male flower, if you will. So this drops pollen, and then, those pollen fall down here to these tassels, and this tassel, once pollinated, will form the ear that you eat.
Right, so we're not relying on bees in this scenario.
No. And that's why it's important if you're growing corn, you don't want to grow like one line of corn because you won't get great pollination. So we try to plant them no less than 4 rows wide, and we plant them in blocks so we get good pollination.
All right, Elizabeth says she feels better about our corn after seeing ours. Now, this corn was our last planted corn. This corn we planted first.
Yes.
Now, the varieties at the end are not quite as happy as the varieties
and
up
that's
there.
Just part of our process where, we're dealing with so many new varieties on the market that they sometimes don't have those genetics and that strong vigor that they want. So sometimes corns or some varieties can be a lot weaker. Whereas at the front of our rows, we always put our variety, so we always know where to find them, and then they always tend to do the best because we already know how they do.
Right, so how many varieties of corn do you think are in this row?
This is our bicolor corn, so there's probably 15 varieties of corn in this row.
Yeah, we planted it. I think there's probably 15 to 16.
Yes.
And then we have tags. Let me walk through here. So like there's a tag there, and then there's another tag there, and another tag there.
So it's quite a process when we're laying out all these things because we have to take, it's a bicolor corn. It's going to go here. We give it like what we would call like an identification for the field number. So, if something does happen to the tag, we still know what's planted here. And then, we have to make a layout, and the layout's constantly changing right up until when you plant too. So it's something you have to be so flexible about, and yeah, it's a lot of work.
Oh, Elizabeth says both kinds that she planted are for popping.
Ooh, that's
so exciting. What are the days to maturity on a popping corn?
Much later. You're looking at like 110, 120 days, something like that.
Yeah, so on PEI, if you want to grow popcorn corn, you should be starting it and transplanting it out.
Yes.
Which not a lot of people transplant their corn, but if you're doing popcorn corn, you have to, because the days to maturity are just that much longer. Now this corn is beautiful.
So this corn at the front, this is Raquel. This is one of our best-selling corn.
Yeah, I mean, nice tassels. Now, corn technically isn't a vegetable, is it?
It's technically a grass. So, by, botanic means, this isn't like a trunk like you would have in a tree, but this is just a lot of overlapping leaves on each other. Yeah.
And how can you tell when corn is ready to harvest?
So,
there's a couple ears there.
They're not big ears, but they're here. So once this ear forms, it'll be about yay big probably. And all these tassels on the end, you want to make sure those are completely brown and they kind of like squish up and hug each other and turn completely brown and dry. Once you see that, then you know the ear.
Claudette wants to know what causes the bottom of tomatoes to rot.
That is bottom end rot. So that is a lack of calcium going to the fruit. And that lack of calcium going to the fruit is because lack of moisture in the soil, because calcium is a bigger nutrient for the plant to move. So without having enough water, it can't move it. Usually applying some like Epsom salts is like a foliar spray will fix it. It won't fix any fruit that are already affected, but it'll prevent it in the future from happening. And then you just be looking at increasing your watering basically.
Yeah, it's basically an issue that happened at the time the fruit was formed. So if you correct the issue, the next fruit that forms won't have that problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, Epsom salts, you can sprinkle it on the soil. You can do a foliar spray. Mm-hmm. You can put it in the hole when you plant them. Yep. We've got some, these are Scotias.
Yep, this whole row is Scotia tomatoes, maritime favorite.
Yeah, so the blossom end rot would be right at the bottom where the blossom attaches to the tomato. And just pull the fruit off and give it some Epsom salt. Maybe it needs a good all-purpose fertilizer.
Yeah.
What do we have here? So
this is our gourd row. We grow gourds every year. We do a little bit of trialing in gourds, but mostly we do a lot of fall decorating every year. So we always make sure we include a row of gourds. Oh, look at the fruit over here. I haven't seen these yet.
Ooh.
But we always make sure we include a row just for fall decorations. And, we always grow our varieties just to see how they're doing from year to year as well.
Yeah, I love gourds. They're like pretty and ugly all at the same time.
They are.
What variety is this?
This variety here, I believe, Autumn Wings. Autumn Wings is this variety.
That explains the wings.
Explains the wings.
I thought we had some other ones on.
Yep, we should.
This is Beetlejuice mix.
Yep. And then it goes into Galaxy of Stars mix. And I'm not seeing, there's little baby stars in here.
Oh, here's some.
Yeah, there's some good ones. There's another good one over here too.
Oh, and the grasshoppers are out. So look at this, follow this line. Do you want to take it out of the corn?
Sure.
Like that's a good 15 feet.
Easily 15 feet. If you come on this side, you can see how many fruit are coming on this one vine too. I'm going to count right up to the tip. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on this one vine, and it's not done.
Yeah, so like 1, 2, vine. There's another one forming here and here. This one.
And there's 2 little ones you can see right on the very end too.
Look at those little babies. Oh my God, they're so cute. So yeah, gourds for decorating.
Gourds for decorating.
Is this Lunch Lady?
I believe so, yep.
This one's a lot bigger than the last one.
Lunch ladies tend to be a lot bigger than the other ones because of all the rain last year. When we were picking squash and gourds, I gave them the nickname ankle breakers because they were still green and there was so much foliage everywhere you couldn't see them. So like you had to be so careful where you were walking because it's like tripping over a huge rock in the field.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one row and there's nothing around it, but when you're in the pumpkins, you can't see. You're just...
You have to be very, very careful.
I develop a particular kind of walk to break down the leaves.
You kind of have to do like a penguin shuffle, kind of like when you're walking on ice.
Yeah, I like to like swoop my leg.
Swoop the leg.
Jennifer says, I'm getting a lot of male flowers on my jacksprat pumpkins. How do I encourage more female?
So if you're getting a lot of male flowers, it sounds like it's just at the beginning. Maybe you can confirm this, but it sounds like it's just starting to flower now. Male flowers tend to come out 10 to 14 days before the female flowers, so the plant don't waste the female flowers without pollination. If it's been about 7 days with flowers, but you haven't seen female, just wait another 7 days and you should start seeing some female flowers show up.
And what if it's been that long and there's still none?
It's been that long and you still haven't seen none. Contact customer service, because that's a very good question. I would like to know too what's kind of going on there. But typically, if you don't see female flowers, it's because it's just starting that flowering period, and it'll produce them very soon.
Especially if the plant's healthy.
Yes.
Like if your plants are looking like this and there's male and no female, then you'd be concerned. But like if your plant looks like this one, then that might make a little bit more sense.
Yeah. And like, for any of our customers or home gardeners who are having some troubles with your plants, contact customer service. Most of the time they get redirected to us, like Tara, myself, or our manager, John. Also include like your lot number, what variety you're growing, all those things, and that help us decipher what's happening.
Yeah, and something I think is important to know is that you will probably never be 100% successful in everything you do.
No.
Because like even here, we got like nice looking tomatoes, better. That one didn't make it.
Yeah.
And then that one right there is a show off.
And like gardening is such a like fluid hobby, and this year like tomatoes and peppers are doing really well, but maybe next year they don't do as well. This year our pumpkins are doing really well, maybe next year they don't do as well. It depends on so many things.
She says she's growing them in containers and the leaves do look like ours.
Okay.
But yeah, if it's just starting to flower, it'll take a little bit.
Yeah.
But containers are really important to keep up with your fertilization.
Fertilization and water, especially once they start to flower and form fruit, you want to make sure they don't dry out at all.
Yeah, they're heavy feeders.
Yes.
And containers. I've never done a squash in a container.
Half pint would be a really good one for that, just because
Yeah.
it stays right where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Then we move into our pepper rows. So we have 3 150-foot rows of peppers, 2 rows of sweet peppers, and 1 row of hot peppers.
Look at this. I see hot peppers.
We're starting to get some nice formation.
Hot peppers are my favorite.
And maybe later in the season we'll come back out and look at some of our peppers. But some of them, the yields on them are just out of this world.
Yeah, I like hot peppers. I mean, sweet peppers are really good too. Yeah, these guys are just starting to set fruit. We had a really, really crazy season. It was really hot and dry first.
It was really hot and dry first, and then it cooled off like mid-teens, like end of May or so, and then it got hot and dry, like no rain for like 4 weeks, or minimal rain for 4 weeks. So,
and what are those white things behind you?
So those are bug netting there. So that's all of our lettuce is planted underneath of those, and that's to help with keeping the leaf hoppers off them. The leaf hoppers transmit a disease called aster yellows. It's also present in like parsleys and carrots and parsnips and other things. But basically when they hop on the leaf to bite it, they transmit the disease, and the disease gives the plant really weird growth, and it makes it super bitter and not good tasting.
Super disgusting. Liz has a question about jalapenos. She says, is it true that they are perennials in a warmer climate?
They sure are. So you can actually see some of the stems. They're starting to turn woody down here. Anything that turns woody like that means it's a perennial. So for us, we treat it as an annual. We would call it an annual, but that's just because of where we are in the climate. But if we're talking botanic terms and where it's native to, it will grow as basically a small shrub year over year.
Yeah, there's some like, even sweet peppers will do it. there are some plants in Mexico and stuff that look like trees.
Yeah.
Very, very jealous
Yeah.
of them. But no, they are technically perennials. You could uproot it from your garden and put it in a pot and bring it inside if you wanted to and take it back out next year. They'll also produce if you pollinate them by tapping the flowers.
A lot of people, I think, just treat them as annuals because they don't want to go through the motions of digging them up and putting them away for the winter.
Oh, I missed the question. Hang on. I'm getting male flowers. Where am I seeing this? Did I miss a question? Sorry, guys. I'm on my phone. Oh, Elizabeth says, I'm thinking about trying the birdhouse gourds so it doesn't... Hang on. I wish they could see me. I'm not going to turn around so they can't see how like old I'm looking. What do you know about birdhouse gourds since I can't see the question?
The birdhouse gourds, really aggressive vines like the rest of our gourds. Give them a trellis to grow on or else you kind of get like, give me an S kind of thing going on with the fruits. So you want to give them a trellis so they hang straight. And then you basically are letting them dry on the vine or slightly dry on the vine and then you're harvesting them. And then you let them dry somewhere nice and hot and dry. And after that, you can like give them a shake once in a while. You hear the seeds rattling around in it, and that'll kind of break up the flesh and patten it down and dry it out, and then you're good to go.
The days to maturity is longer on one, so I do believe
about 120 days, maybe something like that.
So yeah, you would have to start it indoors if you were going to plant them out.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry for anyone watching if I missed your question. It's really hard to see my screen. Here, I'll flip my camera. I'm like squinting really hard trying to see the camera to read the questions. All right, back to the lettuce.
Back to the lettuce. So you can see some lettuces in here, and funny enough, not a leafhopper, but a grasshopper flying around. They're trying to get to the lettuce. But yeah, we have all of our leaf lettuces, romaines, our head lettuces under here. Once these are ready to harvest, we'll flip this off and we'll harvest them.
I'll sneak peek lettuce season.
We have some really nice romaines at the front for me if you want to look at those.
And since we're doing like full transparency, what are those Christmas trees?
So that there is lettuce that is bolted or gone to flower. That is one thing we look for in our lettuce is, how long will it hold in the soil before it can be harvested?
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you a good example maybe back here with some of our small little gem romaines. So I can see some heads starting to form. So there's like a little head starting to form right here on this little gem romaine, which basically means it's getting close to harvest. But if we were to not harvest it and let it keep growing, it would basically do that and it would flower and send up this huge shoot. You don't want your lettuce to do that. It makes it taste very, very bad.
So a good thing to note is that like that's a trial variety over there, and there's a different variety right next to it, and this variety is more heat tolerant than that one.
Yeah.
Because that one did not handle the heat.
And we're seeing a lot of bolting happening this year because of how dry and hot it is.
I hope you guys can see through the mesh because this lettuce looks
so this
so
is our
good.
green forest right here. Romaine still has a little bit ways to go, but they look very, very good. They haven't started forming their inside heads yet, but probably another, I would say, probably 2-3 weeks.
Now, if you wanted to, could you start eating those outer leaves?
Absolutely. So if you want to start eating these, you could just start snapping these off right here and take the outside leaves off, eat those, and then, the growth heads on the inside, and that'll produce more leaves. So, just pick what you need when you need it, and then just let it keep growing, and then you'll have an endless supply of lettuce.
And
not endless, but you'll have a lettuce seed over a long period.
And is all lettuce cut and grow again?
Pretty much, but when we say cut, that means like you're removing the whole head. Some of them do, some of them don't. If you are, one person, and you only need a little bit at a time, picking off the outside leaves is the best thing you can do. There were some we grew, I believe last year, you cut the whole head off and then you get like little heads forming off the side shoots.
They were forming little heads. I wouldn't do it with iceberg.
No, I wouldn't do it with iceberg. Iceberg's a little different, but yeah.
Yeah, it was good. But when the main plant gets aster yellows, the little side shoot babies also have the aster yellows, which is not very good to eat.
No, it's not.
Oh, here's our third planting of corn.
Here's our third planting of corn. So this is our white corn. There's 5 or 6 varieties in here.
And we planted this second.
Yes.
Well, I guess technically third.
So this was our first direct sowing of corn, but our second planting, because our AAS corn we did from transplant. But the whites usually are a lot longer days to maturity than the bicolors and yellows. So we did these ones first so we could, make sure we got to see something come fall.
I love corn. Corn season.
We carry some white corn, and actually some of the white corn is very, very sweet, just as sweet as some of the bicolors and yellows. It'll be interesting to see what some of these trial varieties taste like as well.
I don't know if I've actually ever eaten a pure white corn.
Yeah, I think it's really popular in the upper eastern seaboard of the States. I think that's where it's most popular.
What do we have here?
So these are our brassicas, our second planting of brassicas. So we have corn, cabbage, or not cabbage, and not corn. We have broccoli and cauliflower in here. Our cabbage are a little bit further over, but these are coming along very nicely. We've been struggling a little bit with our brassicas this year with some micronutrient deficiencies. The pest pressure hasn't been too bad this year, but weeds and micronutrients has been the big battle this year.
Our second planting definitely looks... Oh, let me get my shadow out of there. Jeff says, are you going any brassicas? Never mind. That's funny. How much is the white netting you have on there?
So the white netting, it's still something, we're trialing just to see how it does. But you would get the same effect from a row cover, like an AG19. I'm not sure the price off of those. If Tracy's watching, maybe she can link to that to our website for pricing.
Yeah, an AG19 would be really good. It would offer very, very minimal frost protection.
Yeah, so we have AG19, but we have AG30. The 30 is a much thicker woven row cover, and it doesn't let the moisture in as well, and it's going to hold more heat in it. So the AG19, it's a little bit thinner. It's going to let some of that heat out and let more moisture in, which you want.
And what are these posts?
These posts are the super hoops. We've had these for a number of years now, but we basically do these to create kind of a roof effect over the plants. We don't want this sitting right on top of the plants, especially if we get a lot of rain, then it'll cause rot.
And we just use little cylinder blocks to hold it down.
Yep.
Let's throw this off. And
it just slides up
over the Christmas trees. So you can see that this is the flower of the lettuce. So here's a head. She's a little past. I'd still eat that though.
You know what? I can even pull some and cut them open so we can see what they're looking like.
But this is a romaine. This is also a romaine, but you can see that there's space between every set of leaves, and then flowers forming at the top.
So this is a head of romaine here. So we'd be looking at pulling a couple of leaves off the outside, just kind of the dirty, beaten up leaves. And then once we're ready, we would cut this down the center.
Preferably with a knife.
Yes. It's not going to be beautiful, but we can see the inside.
Oh, so and it is bolting.
It is starting to bolt, so you can see where it's starting to form the stem here. If you were to harvest this, you want leaves coming up here. It's this part here is starting to turn into the flower stem.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll still eat it. It has a little bitterness to it, but you put enough salad dressing on that.
Mm-hmm. This is what we do all day. We eat.
We eat. We're all a bunch of food-loving people. But yeah, if your lettuce did go to seed and you were going to save it, you'd have to let those flowers fully develop and fully die back. Mm-hmm. It would be a very long process. Kind of looks like Christmas trees in a snow globe, though.
It does.
That's the images I get. It does
not feel like it's winter, though.
It does not. But we're my favorite time of year, where the mornings are cool and the evenings have a little bit of coolness to them.
Yes. We're getting to that time now where the really hot days are gone, and we're kind of moving into the dog days of summer.
All right.
So we actually passed it. So this is our winter cabbage back here. Again, we were struggling with our cabbages this year, so they're not going to be super great. Like we mentioned earlier, it's a roller coaster. Things grow well some years, some grow not well on some years.
All right, so here's broccoli.
Here's a broccoli.
How do you know when to harvest that?
So if I were to come in to harvest this, by the way, this is a trial variety. Ours don't have these leaves coming up through the center. This is just genetics from the plant. This is something that the breeder would want to know back. When this is ready, so I would come over and I would kind of lightly rub my thumb over this. If those beads are really, really tight together, which they still are, there's not any give to them, I would leave it a little bit longer. And then once we find one that is ready.
Let's see. Oh, maybe this one? Or this one?
Our broccoli's been pretty picked over already.
Well, we harvested yesterday, so.
Not a lot left to pick.
This one has some more movement.
Yeah, and you can see, like, it's not a perfect dome. There is some little separation here, so this one would be a little bit further along. Yeah, this one's much better. Like, you can see when I push on that lightly, there's some give. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, you want to be able to, and it has a feel to it, like it's a little spongy.
Yeah, it has a little give to it, whereas, the other ones are just like rock hard.
Very, very hard. So yeah, we got broccoli coming. We got some cabbages.
Our Savoy cabbages are doing quite well this year. There's actually some nice heads forming in them now.
That's so pretty, though.
Very pretty.
Beautiful cabbage.
Then maybe let's jump up to our beans and our AAS corn.
Another reminder, we're doing a giveaway. We've got a salad bag, produce bag, herb stripper. Look, this cabbage is just about ready. Nice solid head.
This is our pea fence. It's very much overkill for peas, but it is probably, it takes a lot of work to put it up and down, but with how many peas we work with, it's probably the easiest thing we have. Sometimes we would use T-bar, but there have been in the past varieties that grow up to the top of this as well. So.
And what is this that it's climbing?
So this is our bird netting. We just use it as a pea trellis instead of bird netting.
Jennifer says, hi from Tatamagouche. Hi, Jennifer. Tatamagouche. Have a beer for us. They have beer in Tatamagouche, right?
Absolutely. Tatamagouche Brewing.
The brewing company?
Yeah. So then we have our 3 rows of beans here. So the row closest to Tara over there. So that whole row is all like dry baking beans.
Yeah. So these are kidney beans. They don't look like kidney beans.
Not yet. Those will basically be ready to harvest once come end of season. They have like a light frost just to kill some of the foliage. And then the pods will be completely dry. And then you pick them off and you take them inside and you shell them in front of the TV.
In front of TV is the important part.
Yes.
Yeah, Jacob's cattle, like an amazing harvest. So many. All right, what do we have here?
So then these are our Snap and Romano beans. These are our yellow wax beans we have here. So we've already been harvesting them for about 10 days now.
Look at that.
And the one you just picked is Caspian.
Caspian is delicious. I'll make you guys watch me eat it. There's nothing better.
Fresh Snap beans
than beans that you literally just harvested.
Are incredibly popular. Maybe here's a better example of some ears on the
Jennifer
corn.
wants to know if we have any Caraflax cabbage growing.
No, we don't. Not this year. Not this year.
So we don't grow everything that we...
Yeah, so like when I say everything, we grow cabbages every year, but there's, the Savoy cabbages, the Caraflex, like the pointed heads. We don't grow those every year, but we try to grow like winter storage types and summer types every year. We haven't grown Caraflex. We grew them last year, so maybe next year we'll look at growing them again.
So when you're choosing what to put in the trial field, what are you selecting?
So there's a number of different things that go into it, but basically like this year, a lot of breeders will be like, hey, this A variety isn't available next year, start looking for something new. Where they'll say, hey, we're not going to have this in a couple of years, start looking for something new. So that's kind of how that jump starts that process. After that, we're looking into, like seed supply issues, what our customers want, what the trends are in gardening, a whole bunch of different things.
Yeah, I think there's a big trend that's shifting where people are getting more into like container gardening.
Yeah, container gardening is very, very big right now. Like heirloom tomatoes have been a popular thing, but they seem to be growing in popularity the last few years as well. So, yeah.
And then sometimes we grow things just for, new photos.
Yeah, New Photos is another one.
Just because I want to eat it.
Sometimes, if customers are, especially in the past couple of years, if they're having troubles growing a variety, we'll put it here and keep a close eye on it so we can see what's happening, and then we can relay any of that information back to our customers or to the breeders so we can kind of alleviate that problem.
And so our peas, we just finished our last of our peas, but we're growing more, right?
We are growing more, so our peas are just done now. What we're going to do, probably tomorrow too, is we're going to pull all these plants out. They're all done producing. I don't see any more flowers. And we're basically just going to move to the other side of the fence, and we're going to plant on that side.
And it's not too late for peas?
It's not too late for peas. You can do a second planting in the fall. So we're planting, we'll say within the second week of August. So we'll be looking at peas in about 60 days time. So probably sometime in the beginning to middle of October.
Nathan forgot one.
That's all right.
I'm hoping. I'm looking like the surprise ones.
They're hard to find sometimes, so.
Yeah. Delicious. Look at that snow pea.
So maybe we'll show our zucchini here really quick. And we'll go back up and see our AAS corn just to show the ears, and then maybe we'll do our giveaway then.
Oh my god, I found so many snow peas.
You did find some snow peas. Ooh, mother load.
It's going to be snack time tomorrow.
So this is our zucchini patch. Most things, I shouldn't say most things, any other things we grow more of. Zucchinis, we've cut it back year after year how many plants we plant because there's just so much work to come out and harvest so many fruit. So now we've knocked it back to 2 plants for each variety. That way we don't have a lot of zucchini that no one wants to eat. It saves time for us picking. But we've been getting some, but they've been misshapen from how dry it's been.
Mm-hmm.
So we're hoping if we get some rain soon, we can actually get some true to form fruit.
Yeah, we actually picked them all off yesterday in hopes that they would put out some new ones that look a little bit better.
And this is actually the smallest our zucchinis have been this late in the season as well, just because of how dry the conditions have been. Yeah,
the best advice I heard was if you want to grow zucchini, just live next to someone who already grows zucchini.
Absolutely, because they will pay you to take it away.
I had zucchini for supper last night. It was delicious. Yeah, definitely the smallest they've been. The kale looks fantastic.
Then we move into our AAS corn. So this is our last planting of corn. You can actually see some of the, this is like a suckering right here on this variety.
Oh.
So this has come right from the base, and it's shot straight up, and now it has kernels on it.
That's what stress looks like.
That's what stress looks like. There's another one here doing that as well. But yeah, you can see on some of these, especially some of these darker varieties up here.
Now, they're starting to form like
these are beautiful plants. Like a purple burgundy color. The ears are a nice like burgundy red color as well.
And so you said this is a milling corn, right?
Yeah, this is milling corn.
So what does that mean?
So this is what you would use to dry and make corn flour with. But yeah, so these are the tassels up here. These ones are much, much maturer than the other ones we saw, but these will turn completely brown and dry, and they'll dry right up to almost nothing, and then that's when you can harvest the ear.
All right, so Janine wants to know how you get your tomatoes to produce more tomatoes.
How we get them to produce more tomatoes. So you don't want to, there's a couple of different things, like over-fertilizing can stop flowering. You want to constantly pick the tomatoes. By constantly picking them and not letting them rot on the vine, you're, promoting, to produce more fruit, as well as not over-fertilizing. You want to make sure you're on a good, consistent fertilization schedule, watering, a whole bunch of different things.
Yeah, and making sure that you start them nice and early.
Yes.
Give them a good head start, because once they start producing, they really won't stop.
Yeah. So we try to aim for 4 to 5 weeks before our last frost here. We start them ahead of time, just because sometimes they get out a little bit later. We don't want them to get too big and get stressed inside their cells or their pots. So 4 to 5 weeks seems to work for us, and then peppers we aim for anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks.
And how many varieties of tomatoes are we growing this year?
This year, that's a great question.
Because last year was 86.
It was 86, not nearly as many as last year. I want to say this year it might be closer to the 50, 60 range.
Yeah, we don't try to have as many tomatoes as possible because we have 80 varieties and multiple plants of each one.
Yes.
Right now, we have 5 rows, 150 feet.
There's about, we'll say, 10 varieties per row.
That's 750 feet of tomatoes.
Yes. And you think about like how cherry tomatoes produce sometimes, and like how many like beefsteaks you get. It's a lot of tomatoes.
Even if every plant like gave us one, that's like still a lot of tomatoes.
It's a lot of tomatoes.
But luckily, we don't waste any of our produce.
No. So last year we started a process with a local gleaning group. So the process of gleaning is they come in and take whatever's left in the field. They take a very, very small portion from themselves, and the rest of it they distribute to like the food bank or to like community fridges across the island. So last year we had no waste. The only waste we had was our first planting of lettuce because we lost it to leafhoppers and aster yellows. After that, there was no waste, and everything was either eaten by staff or was donated by the gleaners.
And so we have about 100 staff here. We also have an equipment department. So that's a lot of staff. And above and beyond that, we donated over 6,000 pounds of food.
Last year, yeah.
And that doesn't include everything that the staff ate.
No.
I probably ate about 6,000 pounds myself.
I probably ate about 6,000 pounds of watermelon by itself.
Oh my God, watermelons.
Yes.
We are almost at 4 o'clock. Do you know what we're going to do for the giveaway?
Yeah, so maybe we can go back over and just show people what we're giving away again. If anyone has any last minute comments they'd like to, put in the comments, we can answer before we go.
And I guess we'll probably do flowers next time. Oh, and over here behind us is cover crop.
Yeah, so that's cover crop. So this is one large field that we split into 3. So the 2/3 you see down there are where we were planting our vegetable trials last year. And we just break it up into 2-acre parcels, and then we just continually rotate through them.
Oh, Jesse says the field looks good. Hi, Jesse.
Hi, Jesse.
And we're way up here. So you can see like there's a dome building there. That belongs to equipment. That building there is our greenhouse. And the main building is
Through the trees.
Quite a ways down there.
Quite peaceful back here. We get to come back here and grow vegetables and eat vegetables, and it's like once in a while you hear the odd vehicle go by, but there's a nice breeze up here today. It's nice and quiet. So.
And like the airport like basically backs onto this property.
Yes.
So we see planes coming and going. When the military does training exercises, we see them.
Sometimes we get a little food and a little entertainment,
It's very nice. Oh, there's our bag of stuff.
Here's our bag of stuff. So just to remind everyone what we're giving away. So we have a salad sack. Salad sack is for, keep your veggie or your greens more fresh in the fridge longer. We have an herb stripper. We have a little vegetable brush. We have one of these at home, not like this one, but similar, and I use it all the time for potatoes. And then we have one of these little netted produce bags. So you can put your produce in it. If you're going to the farmer's market, if you're harvesting from your garden, then hang it up somewhere so it doesn't rot and sit on the counter.
Perfect. Now, we're going to ask a question. What is the question?
So the question, for people who are watching today's video, where is white corn most popular?
Ooh, where?
So you can give me a specific location, but when I gave the answer in today's video, it was a very generalized answer.
Where is white corn most popular?
Yes.
A Viceroy just fluttered by. They've been duping everyone this year. Everyone thinks they're monarchs. Oh, there he is. I don't know if people can see him. Okay. Where are white corn most popular? I'm like distracted. I want to go chase the butterfly.
Wait for maybe if a few people to come in. If not, we'll give a couple hints.
Jennifer says Mexico.
No.
Janine says Eastern USA.
Yes, I'll take that. I like it. So usually it's around the New Jersey area.
All right. Janine, I hope I'm saying your name right. Send us a message with your address. Please do not put it in the comments. We don't need anyone to know where you live except for us, so we can mail you this prize. Canada Post has already come for the day, so we will ship it out for you tomorrow. You'll get an email with the tracking number, and we'll get it out to you. So what do you think? Next week in the flowers?
I think next week in the flowers. We were down there today, and I was like standing at the top, and I was like, it looks fantastic down there right now.
It looks beautiful. The flowers are amazing. The sunflowers are just out. I've got a pocket full of peas. It's kind of like a pocket full of sunshine.
Yeah, might as well be a pocket full of sunshine.
Pretty much. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
3 o'clock Atlantic time. See you guys then.